Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the last video on the channel for 2 years. Kind of crazy to say that, but we're gonna end with one of my favorite things to do, which is game reviews. This game we played really well, like so well. It's probably one of my top, I want to say one of my top 10 accuracy games. Now, I don't have a high accuracy per se, I have a decent accuracy. My average sits around 78 to 80. My highest is like 95%, but this one came in at 87.5%. So I was super proud of the way this game turned out, and I'm so happy to have ended out on a good note. But let's look at this opening. Play Queen's Pawn, basic stuff. This is just the basic Queen's Pawns opening. And then here I thought I'll take some of what I know from the Caro, and plug it into this. The knight is out, I'll block it. He pushes, I take, he takes. And I push this pawn. Originally I was going to push g6. I thought about it, but I was like, why would I do that? It does nothing. My bishop can't go to g7 because my knight's blocking and he's a pawn there. And h6, his bishop just automatically takes me, so there's no reason to. So I move e6 instead, also giving an extra defender for the knight in the future and opening on my bishop for a check. He plays an okay move, c4. I take because I didn't believe in that move that much. And then he took back. And I gave him a check here. He obviously blocked. It's the best. It's in fact probably the only move you can play that doesn't instantly lose. And here I made a mistake and I castled. And where I made a mistake was I should have played knight d5. I totally missed this. I wasn't even thinking about it because in my mind I thought knight d5 looked dumb because bishop takes. I just totally forgot that my bishop pinned his knight at that point. So I was like, oh, that looks too dumb to play. So I castle. He castles, plays the best move. Here I play a mistake. I play 97. I thought this was a really good move in the game. This actually gives my opponent a 2.28 advantage, and my opponent is now crushing me. Basically, it increases 1 because I just opened up for queen b7. I totally missed this too. Just a free pawn. Luckily, my opponent did too. And I instantly counter his mistake, his miss. But it's a mistake in my book from what the old chess.com was before they updated it. And I instantly attack him. Now, I thought he was going to go to, actually not even there, I thought maybe knight c7, but then after studying it for a little bit, I was like, that's a little too aggressive for my liking, so he goes back to where he came from, Cotton Eye Joe. And then we play bishop back to d6. Just asking for a bishop trade. He doesn't give it. He plays the best move, which is to attack my knight. I play what I thought was a good move, and this is the whole reason I moved my knight back to e7, was to bring it to g6. So I get some extra protection since he had already put the queen on the king side. So it was just an extra little defender that I knew I could use in the future, and maybe an extra attack on the king side, on his king side. Also, it allows me in the future to be able to push h6 and force a trade of bishops maybe. But instead he just takes, which I knew was an accuracy. So we trade, and now he's only plus 0.58. So he's only up really half of a pawn of game. Here my opponent plays bishop. I gotta think about it. Bishop d3. It's an okay move, not the best. I play also an okay move. My thought here is if he attacks my knight with g3, I'll give him a check. He moves up to g2, and I'll just move back to g5, and we'll be fine. Or I could have even maybe said, And I thought about maybe d2, but the problem with d2 is my knight gets trapped. So I couldn't play that. So instead he plays knight attacking my bishop. I was like, oh, and my pawn. I realized he was attacking my bishop. But then I realized he was attacking my pawn as well. So I move and protect my pawn and my bishop. He plays there. I check. He plays back. I play. And he takes here, which is a major inaccuracy. So I take. He moves the rook over, which to me didn't make sense, because why would you move your rook over to a closed file by the pawn? It just didn't make sense. To me, it makes sense to go rook ac1. That made more sense to me in the moment. So here I played f6, basically saying I'm just making some moves, trying to keep the position balanced. It actually was balanced, and I allowed a 0.4 advantage change to happen, which isn't bad at this rating. In fact, that isn't bad at all in the middle game in a position like this. He now goes king f1, and I guess his whole idea was he wanted his king out behind his rook again, just flipping the castle back. But whatever, so he's just undone a move. He's just undone a move with two other moves, which to me was strange. Here I play an insane move that I didn't even think about when I played it. I played this and I instantly thought, oh, bishop takes. And then it hit me. Boom, f5. Insane. Only one move in the position. And this was, I just was thinking, get my king out of the way, maybe move my rook over in the future, and then we'll try and see where we can go from there. But if I would have moved, if my rook would have been on g7, completely different story. Then it's a blunder. A mistake, because pawns don't really count as blunders that often unless you're in the endgame, super deep into it. So my opponent bites, and I push, and I am now crushing. So my opponent pushes. I am now moved my rook over, which is the best move, because my thought here is I can connect the rooks on the h file, and then maybe make a smooth attack with moving the rook down to h1, and if he takes, then he loses both rooks, and he loses the game. Takes the pawn, I take, he checks, I take another free pawn. He moves his rook over, fine move, I also protect. I should have just gone king f6. Don't ask me why. I really don't know what the difference between the two moves are. Well, I mean, there's obviously a difference. The rook move is different than the king move, but the positional differences are not variable, besides the rook seem more versatile there. So I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Why don't I just go to h8 like I'd planned? That's what my whole plan of rook h8 was. Now I'll go rook ah8. Oh, ch8 now. My opponent plays b3. It's a good move. He's already down 5, so I already know I'm basically guaranteed a win. I go here. My opponent goes there, and I check. He runs away. I take. He takes. And I play here, setting up a checkmate thread. He makes an inaccuracy, and rook a1. I looked at it, and I didn't even realize what he was thinking. He was thinking I was going to take his pawn, but instead I just go b5. Just simple b5. Setting up checkmate thread on d2. Obviously, he makes the one move to block. I play rook g2, and the reason I like rook g2 better than taking is because rook g2 keeps pressure on that pawn itself, but also the checkmate thread. My opponent makes an insane mistake here by pushing to e4. I take the free pawn. He has to slide back. I take this pawn, and then here my opponent resigns. So you might have said here, oh, he makes an inaccuracy, and I can just take the pawn and we trade pawns, and then I'll take the other pawn. The reason my way is better is just because here he's forced to go back. He physically cannot take your pawn back. So instead of being up one pawn, you're up 2 pawns. And then him moving here, the variation would have gone something like check, here, we might have even offered a rook trade, goes here, slide the king up, can't go there, so we might go there, I mean, not there, That's an okay move. I mean, I'm not playing the best moves right now, right? I'm just trying to get the idea down that taking is probably better, because now you're setting up this bishop c5 skewer. If you don't know what I mean by skewer, let me just do, whoops, this skewer. My opponent, it's like a shish kebab, a kebab. My opponent is now bloody pinned, and anywhere he goes, he's going to be taken. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I felt it was a really good game. I hope, oh, wait, here we can see the variation. Whoops. The Zuckertort Shigoren variation of the Queen Pawns opening. I didn't know the name, so that's cool. I really like that opening. I think it's strong for black. It says plus 0.39 for white, plus 0.33 at the end of it. But I like it. It's a little more versatile. You have two knights, and he's kind of just committed all of his pieces on his. It feels like he's committed his dark squared bishop, whereas mine have not been committed. Whereas mine hasn't been committed yet, and so I commit my light squared bishop to the same idea as the Caro Kann, which is pinning and then taking. And now he's lost this knight for protection on this d pawn, which becomes. Hang on, it takes a long time for it to happen. Whoops. But that d pawn becomes the pawn that we're playing for. At least I'm pretty sure. Actually, it becomes a very vital pawn in this, because look, this d pawn isn't here, there's no checkmate threat. But because that d pawn's there, there's a checkmate threat. And because the d pawn's there, I'm able to give this check. So this whole opening, in the end, messed him up because he had committed his e pawn to e3 and his d pawn to d4. So really, you always, here's a word of advice before I send you guys off. Here's a word of advice about chess. You always want to kind of get an idea of what you're looking to play for. What do you want to do? Obviously, winning, duh. No-brainer. Let me think of a better way to say this. You want to think about your pieces across all 64 squares. Where they are, what they're doing. Could it become a problem in the future? So let's go back to this position. My opponent plays rook g1. Is that a problem? For me, no. I love that move. I love that my opponent played that. For him, it's a major problem. And his follow-up, it doesn't even make sense. Your rook, you've now trapped it in a 2x2 square. So you have to be thinking about these things. You have to be thinking about what your pieces are doing. What is happening? I've disconnected my rooks. My rook on my king side is now trapped. These are the things you have to be thinking about when you play higher level chess. And you play at the highest level, there is no room for error. I mean, I watch chess content, and this move, just inviting a take, bait him out. You'll get everyone below about 1,500 to bite on that. Even maybe above 1,500 will bite. Seeing that I had missed it, and I've been 1,700 before, although I've been off and on playing chess, not as much as I was grinding back in June, but same idea. I probably would have seen this back then, but now I just didn't see it until I was like, oh, f5. And here's where your position becomes good. He plays the best move, enticing me to take and open up his rook. Instead, I just say, screw you, no way. Here, he should have taken with the bishop. Plain and simple. Another piece lost. You should never just give away free pieces. That's just not how you should play chess. Here is the positional difference between c8 and h8. And even this, and even this position from this position. There's one difference, and it's the f-pawn. With the f-pawn having moved, now I can play this. because as we see, this becomes key in the future, this check. Whereas if we just play everything normally, there's no check, and suddenly I'm losing my rooks. You always have to be thinking about this stuff. So as soon as I see this f-pawn drop, boom, I'm playing it, because I'm instantly thinking about checks. I'm thinking into the future and what I want to play. Most people think of chess as a game of the future. It's not. It's a game of the present, focusing into your next moves. Well, then that'd be 2 moves, 20 moves. It doesn't matter. You should always have chess theory. And if you have a good idea of chess theory, and then if you have a good idea of middle games, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But kind of what it is you're looking ahead and thinking about what happens if this piece goes here? What does it change in the position? And that's what I'm always thinking about. So if you want to get good at chess, that's my recommendation. Always be thinking about what every single piece in the position does. From move 1, what does d4 do? Well, queen's pawn opening. It's pretty simple. You open up the queen's side. You open up the queen's pawn. I open up my queen's pawn. You've brought out your king's knight defending that pawn. I've brought out my queen's knight attacking that pawn. You've brought out your queen bishop attacking this c7 pawn, making it a little more difficult to develop my bishop to a good square of d6. So instead I play knight f6 instead of e6. e6 is excellent, but of course this is a good move. This is a good move. I think even this, no. What was it? Was it this? There's some pawn move, I think. I may be wrong. Maybe it's this. No, definitely not that. Now I think about it, what the heck. You might be able to get away with this, but definitely stick to your knight and your bishop here. And as soon as I see that pawn move, pin, and instant take. That's just... And when you learn openings, you'll learn about these sort of strategies that build into each other, like the Caro Kann. I knew this theory. My opponent moves his pawn, boom, playing that. Attacks, takes. He has a knight. He's without a knight. I'm without a bishop. But my bishop is less strong in this position because I have pieces. Because I'm going to put my pawns on light squares. But, guys, this is going to end the video. I hope you could take away a little bit from my content the last month and few. But I really do appreciate all the support and the love. And I love you guys a lot. You guys have, like I said in my MLB video, you guys have helped me find a new love for... I don't even know what. You just have found a new love for everything. I love doing stuff because of you guys, and I thank you. And I will see you guys in 2 years. Peace.